What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another part into our cutting out a PSD into an HTML file. Today we're going to be laying out a rotator, and then the next part we're going to be cutting it out as a jQuery plugin. So initially looking at our rotating element, we have two-pager buttons or elements, and then our main section for the rotator. How I'm going to cut this out. Each one of these slides is going to be 960 pixels wide, and if I remember right, it's about 430 pixels or 420 pixels tall. And so the way we're going to do that is each slide is going to be that size, and we're going to apply a background image to it, which will be these devices. That way we can position them wherever they want. So if other slides have elements in different areas, we can use the background positioning for that, and we can customize the positioning of the text for that also. So right now in our cutout we have nothing. We're going to need to plug in the buttons and actually code out the CSS for the layout. I already have the forwards, backwards buttons in the slide.png, so we're not going to be doing anything inside of here outside of checking for the actual positions and margins and stuff. So, alright, okay. So inside of our HTML, we actually need to code out our elements. Let me scroll up to where that is. So directly inside our rotator we need to have a previous and next button. These don't need to be inside another element or anything like that, so I'm going to type out two hyperlinks, give them a class of previous and next, and then when you actually need to type out our rotating elements. How we are going to do this is that we are going to have, I'm going to have a div that acts as kind of like a picture frame for this section, and then behind it we are going to have an unordered list that goes off the screen with floating elements. This way we can position the top of the unordered list and slide it from left to right, and only the section inside of our picture frame, for lack of a better term that I can think of right now, anything inside the frame is the only piece visible to our user. So to do that we need to have what I'm going to be calling our frame, which I'm going to give it a class of rotator wrapper, then our unordered list, and inside of it we're going to denote the slide. And then inside of it we're going to give it a div, which we'll use this div to do the positioning on it, since I'm essentially going to be creating the same div or the same slide 3 times so we can make sure everything works. It's just going to be using a plain div. We could be using a header tag with or a div with a class. So copy this over, then copy this block of HTML 2 more times, and rename it. Copied over text that already had the div in it, so fix that up real fast. If we go over to our HTML, you can see that all of our, no, I need to rename the slides also. Just a note so that we have a visual indicator that we are on a different slide. Now we're going to apply the actual CSS to these. We're going to start off with the buttons. first I want to make sure that our element is okay. We do have a relative position on our rotator. How relative position works, so this entire container is given a position relative. So what that means is that this, I see this as kind of a reset for the area. If we're going to be giving a style position absolute to these buttons, and when you give an element position absolute, you have the ability to set exactly where it shows up pixel by pixel. It's a little bit more difficult to do that with floats. Using relative position is a very accurate way to position items where you want. It's also how you can get elements to float, say for at the top of your screen. It's kind of how sometimes social widgets and stuff like that work. So for instance, right here, if this entire container is set to position relative, the way we would position this element is we'd say it's from the right, it's 97 pixels. We could do from the top is 178, but there's another way you can perfectly vertically align an element, and that's give it a top or bottom of 50%, and then give it a negative margin of half the height or width of the element. That way if your container ever changes height, it's going to move with it. Now if you don't have a relative positioned element and you gave the position absolute with a top 0, right 0, this element's going to show up right up here, because the relative positioned element then becomes the HTML tag or body tag. And so we're going to use it in this instance to for our slider control back here, the very wide frame, and then our buttons over here. So I'm going to type out our class rules for the rotator buttons. We have I already cut out the images, so I'm just going to use a drag and drop for the background image so I don't mess it up. I'm going to set it to display block due to hyperlinks or being an inline element. Height for the elements are 60 pixels. They are about 50 pixels, I believe. So I would say, let's say 50. They're 100 pixels from the side. For some reason I had 50. Must have been looking at the wrong one. So this one is going to be positioned 100 pixels from the left of the screen. It's going to have a margin top of -30 to provide that vertical centering. It's going to be position absolute. Top 50%. And its width is going to be 60 pixels. So we have it right there. Now if we resize this, well, it's not going to show up as well. We'll be able to see it better with the right pager. I'll shrink and open up the screen a little bit and show that the right element is going to maintain its position. Then I need to rename this one to Alt tab over and press F5. So you see here that no matter where we go, no matter what the screen size is. This is going to maintain 100 pixels from this side. And now we need to code out our rotator wrapper and our unordered list and our rotator list items. Rotate. So the height of our element is 420 pixels. That's the height we're going to be using on any elements inside of this, due to height of our container being right at 420 pixels. I'm going to give it a margin of 0 in auto. This way it's center aligned. Its width is 960 pixels, and we're also going to give it an overflow of hidden, but I'm going to add that shortly so that you can see, you can get a better visual representation of what we're doing behind the scenes. So our rotator unordered list, it's going to be a position absolute. So we're going to be dynamically setting its left attribute to give the appearance of rotating. Give it a top of 0 just so that it knows to be zeroed out like that. We're going to give it a width of 2000 EMs. This is to ensure that we don't have wrapping or anything like that on our list items. EMs are kind of a what's the best way to describe it? They're not exact pixels. It's kind of based on relatively where it relative to its surroundings. I typically avoid them. I see them a lot in using font elements or font styles. So let's say, for instance, you give your base font of 16 pixels, and then you inside your body tag, and then you give like a paragraph tag of font size of 1.1 EM. I'm not sure the exact translation, but it will give it like a font size of maybe 18 or 19, due to the its parent one being 16. There are articles out there that can explain it a heck of a lot better than I can. Alright, so if we look at our screen right now, we notice that we have one just enormously wide frame, and I think we update that, but anyway, you can see that our 3 slides show up right here, from left to right. Now I'm going to code out styles specific to each of these slides, since we're doing the same one over and over again. I'm just going to use the same styles for it. I'm going to have the same background image for the slide, and going to just go ahead and copy that piece in. So we have a large font size. Line height is set to 1.5. I believe our default line height is 1. So I can't remember if that's defaults to the browser size, browser line height, or if it's relative to the font size. But by doing 1.5 EMs, you'll see that our line height is fairly. It adds a lot of space to. It adds a lot of space in between each one of our lines. So right now we actually see each one of our slides moving out to the right. Now I'm going to add the overflow hidden back to our rotator wrapper. go back here, refresh, maybe. Oh, I hit a hashtag and so it refresh. Oh, yay! What did I put wrong? I misspelled something. Rotator, wrapper hidden. Inspect element. I've obviously missed something here. And I'm not really sure what right now. Let's see here. Let me look back over my notes real fast. See if maybe I doubt Chrome's gonna render it any differently. Alright, I'm gonna pause real fast until I figure this out. Alright, well that took all of 2 seconds. I had missed adding position relative to my my frame, my item frame, since this is going to be our reference point for the slides. This is where we needed to set that that relative positioning. If we had done that to the main wrapper, our slides would be starting way over here, and we'd need to keep track of various things. That would overcomplicate our code. So we now have our rotator laid out, and next we are going to be doing a quick jQuery rotator plugin to get this to have the absolute basic functionality we need to go forward with. So thanks for the view, and we'll see you in a few.